A week and really an entire year of shakeups, and it continues for the new Hanover Community Endowment.
The organization manages more than $1 billion of public money from the sale of New Hanover Regional Medical Center to Novant Health. However, it's now seen 6 resignations among board members and staff, including the CEO and executive vice president.
WECT's Ava Brengord is following the resignations tonight, including word of 2 new resignations. So, Ava, any word on why these 2 individuals we're reporting on today are leaving?
Well, that's a great question, John. Everyone seems to have a different answer, but there's no denying at face value 6 departures in a year doesn't look great. For a group tasked with managing more than $1 billion in taxpayer money, questions now being asked about what's going on behind closed doors at the New Hanover Community Endowment. This is after the 6th resignation among board members and staff within the last year. However, those leaving the endowment aren't raising any concerns.
I would just say focus on the work.
Lakeisha McDay is one of the 3 staff members that resigned this week alone. She says she decided to leave her executive VP position because of personal reasons.
I am going to stay connected to the work, but I'm looking forward to seeing how some of the other things that I'm interested in really play out.
Board Chair Bill Cameron won't deny the string of resignations came unexpectedly.
It's not unusual, so I'm not surprised, but I wouldn't say that I expected it.
But says he's not worried.
It's a natural occurrence. It happens. And, those people left somewhere when they first came here. Now they're leaving and they'll go do something else.
The endowment was created after the sale of New Hanover Regional Medical Center to Novant Health, a decision that was controversial among neighbors back in 2020. Since then, the CEO has resigned along with various other board members, and questions of playing politics have been raised. Both McDay and Cameron say despite how it looks from the outside, leaders within the endowment are working to serve the county.
Rest assured that, the investments that have been made are going to continue to create a roadmap of what New Hanover County can look like.
While the end goal of the endowment is solid,
the mission and the goals and our operational ability has not changed and will not change.
Despite its leadership doing so. Now, the new president and CEO of the endowment, Dan Winslow, is expected to begin his role next week. He was hired after former CEO William Buster abruptly resigned last February. Ava Brengord, WECT News.
Another development.